Okay, I didn't expect that.
The Iron Claw is a 2023 film release. It is rated R and runs 2 hours and 12 minutes. It is written and directed by Sean Durkin.
So when I saw the preview to this film, I kind of felt that I had to watch it. There was a film that was maybe a few years back, maybe actually 2008, The Wrestler by Darren Aronofsky, that I had watched, and it was just cool. It was just a great film. I'm a fan of his work as well, and so, that film, I enjoyed that film. And so, coming to this one, The Iron Claw, which is based on a true story.
The true story of the inseparable Von Erich brothers, who made history in the intensely competitive world of professional wrestling in the early 1980s. Through tragedy and triumph, under the shadow of their dominating father and coach, the brothers seek larger-than-life immortality on the biggest stage in sports.
And also the fact that I grew up with wrestling, it just had to be, it was just the right fit. I just kind of wanted to see what this film was about. Give me a little history on being the fact that this film was based on a true family that grew up in, grew up wrestling. It just kind of made sense, But watching the film, I kind of, I didn't say my views changed. I was excited to watch it, and so I got the opportunity to watch it. And so as I watched, I just kind of was really struck by how sometimes the father's wants becomes what the children do. You know what I'm saying? In the sense, in this film, the father, he was a huge wrestler. His dream was always to become a world wrestling champion, and he didn't achieve that. But being the fact that he, in a sense, had 4 boys, he had 4 more opportunities to create that and actually have that happen. So that's kind of the reason why all the boys ended up in wrestling. There's a lot of sacrifices that come along with that, in the sense for the boys, and in their sense, maybe they wanted to do something else. But the way the father, lived so passionately and was so involved in the business because he was running the business, it became something that the boys wanted to do as well. There's also the other family dynamic in the sense of, the husband and wife, the fact that, at a certain point, her husband was a different person than he was before he became this wrestling icon. And, she kind of reminisces on that with the boys in the film, and kind of gives that insight that the boys had never, ever seen, and in a sense, it embarrasses the father and just a little bit. So he tells her kind of, not to talk about that too much. But it's a real family film in the sense of this family, the Von Erichs. They're wrestling, or they're striving to be wrestling championships. It's about, sacrifice, like I mentioned. It's about, vision as well, and dealing with the tough times and the bad times, and to me, this is an interesting film for all those reasons. It is a little lengthy. It's a 2 hour and, 2 hour, 12-minute film. They go through a lot. They go through a lot of what the family was going through. The one main character was played by Zac Efron. He kind of seemingly goes with the flow. He wants to be a champion, but I mean, the way he kind of lives his life, because he's, in a sense, our main character in this film. Seems like he's just kind of just down for whatever. It sounds good, it sounds good. The greatest thing about this film is the way it looks. It takes place in the 1980s, and it's just a beautiful sun-kissed film. And I think the cinematography is the strong point. I think also the soundtrack is very strong too. I mean, I got a lot of songs on there that you don't necessarily hear all the time, within other movies that take place in the same era. And so they did a good job on that. I appreciate that. I mean, it's great to kind of, go back to some of these songs when you haven't heard them in a while. And I think they did a good job on the, recreation of the 1980s in that sense, in that feel. But it's just a really good looking film. So for The Iron Claw, I'm going to give this a strong 4. I felt, like I said, there's great story dynamics in the sense that, number one, it's based on a true story. It's talking about, a father who was kind of, trying to live out his dreams through his sons, and the dynamic of that, what that takes, the sacrifice and the struggle. The film is really great looking. I think the soundtrack, like I mentioned, is something that, makes the film that much even more engaging, get you excited at certain points. And, like I said, the true story part of it is something that you can't really get around, in the sense that if you are someone who grew up watching wrestling like I did, and at one point believed that it was 100% real. I want to know the history of Blue. I kind of want to know the history about it as well. And the Von Erichs, and this is their story. You know, I guess they went to the World Wrestling Hall of Fame. So in a sense, they got their glory, but didn't get it necessarily when they were looking for it. So it's been my review for the Iron Claw. If you like this review, give it a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing with the channel, make sure to subscribe. And if you've seen this film and you have maybe a different take, or you enjoyed it, but maybe some other things that I didn't point out that you'd like to point out, leave those things in the comment box below. That'd be greatly appreciated. The movie I will be reviewing for next week will be The Covenant. So, like we always do at this time, have a blessed day. I will see you on the flip side. Let's go.